COVID numbers improving. Many are once again using apps to look for love. Cody has enlisted the help of an expert to learn more about this shift in dating.
That's right. We have Wendy Strgar to join us right now. She's a Loveologist to talk about this. Now, Wendy, like the cicadas, singletons are coming out of their COVID holes and they're looking for love. But the question is, are they looking for long-term love or short-term love?
Well, so that's a really good question. And I think that there's some really interesting silver lining of COVID that's come out in a recent Cosmo and also a Cupid survey, that more and more young people are actually wanting to be in relationship now. They're much less interested in transactional sex, at least according to these surveys, and not wanting to date multiple people at the same time. And so I think there's really a sea change going on about how people are approaching the use of apps. And I think the apps are starting to respond a little bit, like in ways like sort of what you just said about not meeting your boss or a sibling or something on Tinder. But, I think people are moving to apps that, that give them a little bit more context for knowing somebody before they even go on a first date.
Oh, that's very interesting. So not just like the looks and swiping left and right, they're actually looking for more information. So what kind of apps do you recommend? What are you looking at?
Well, I kind of go by my kids' advice on these sorts of things because I don't really use apps myself. But even when I did some research about it, it seems like Hinge is kind of leading the day lately. Partly because this is sort of speaking to people who don't want to just hook up, which is sort of the classic Tinder association. I mean, people have met on Tinder that have gone on to relationships, but it traditionally was evolved as a hookup site. And I think it's kind of an interesting thing to think about the way that apps have evolved since, say, early days of Match, and that Hinge is kind of in between, where it allows people, it gives them prompts to say something meaningful about themselves and allows people to really disclose something. And it's not just, a photo gallery, which is more like what Tinder did. So I think that they're growing, they're evolving.
Well, that's cool. Let's talk about, say you find somebody, you're interested into this thing, but it's been weird. We've been stuck in our houses and stuff like that. How do you select the first date to go back, and how do we not make it awkward?
Yeah, so I think that I think that there's a couple of things. One is that many of these apps have built in some safety mechanisms, like around, are you vaccinated? And I think that sort of heightened sense of being safe in the world is continuing to contribute to how you start to date. Because, if you've sort of locked yourself away and you've really only had a very small number of people around you, then, sorry, that was my dog.
No, it's fine.
Anyway, then, you're not going to be one that's going to want to date somebody who wasn't doing that at all, probably. So I think, there's a recognition and a consciousness about how you dealt with COVID, whether you got vaccinated, that will introduce more complexity, or at least a beginning about whether you want to just go out with somebody or not. I think people are really slowing down in their first date, and not just finding somebody online and swiping and then going on a date. They're having longer conversations. They're asking more questions right out of the gate, I think is what I would say.
Well, Wendy, we're out of time. Can we see the dog?
Here she is.
Oh.
They're always right when I'm having to do something live. They're live, So anyway, I think that COVID has really given us a chance to think about relationship in a new way, and I think it's exciting.
It is exciting. Wendy, thank you very much for joining us. I think we might have to talk again. I really enjoyed this.
Thanks a lot.
And the fact that you had a cat in your lap the whole time was fun, too. I like that. All right, back to you, Court.